Hi, I'm Tracy.
And I'm Jessica, and this is She's on Top.
Today we're talking with social media guru and LinkedIn expert Leslie Hughes.
Leslie is a LinkedIn trainer, LinkedIn writer, and optimization specialist. And she's a wealth of information on how to effectively use social media to promote your brand.
She's also a frequent guest expert on shows like The Social, which you saw in our opening clip.
A couple of years ago, Tracy and I were lucky enough to take one of Leslie's seminars. At the end of the seminar, not only did we have an updated profile, but we had a much better understanding of how LinkedIn could work for us.
Leslie recently published a book called Create, Connect, and Convert, where she shares 25 lessons on how to own your value and build a powerful presence using social media.
We recently read an article that Leslie published on LinkedIn, and it was all about how to write your summary, whether you should write it in the first person or write it in the third person. And it kind of prompted us to reach out again and get a tune-up on our LinkedIn skills.
And we actually thought you guys would benefit too.
And after you've watched this interview, you're probably going to want to get her book. So we've included a link below.
And as always, if you haven't done so, please subscribe and don't forget to hit that bell button. That way you'll get notice of all of our videos.
And if you have any questions for Leslie, leave those in the comments below. Or if you have questions for us, we always like your feedback. Leslie, if someone is starting their LinkedIn profile, what's a couple of things they need to know, like right off the bat?
The first thing that I tell people to focus on is, number one, their photo. Their photo is so very important because it's one of the first impressions that people will see when they Google you, and in fact, LinkedIn is one of the highest ranked sites. So photo is important. The next is making sure that someone has a really good headline that actually speaks to what they do and who they help.
Okay.
And then the third part that I make sure that people focus on is their summary, which takes the most time, but is really important.
And if you're saying photo, does it matter whether you have a serious expression? Does it matter what you're wearing? Like, what do you look for when giving people advice about a photo?
Yeah, a photo, really having the same sort of outfit that one would wear when they're going to a networking meeting or a business meeting. So making sure that you look into the camera, obviously, you're smiling, you seem confident, approachable. The picture should really be cropped to the head and shoulders, but making sure that that first impression really portrays you as a confident and competent professional.
I'm gonna bring up my profile here. And can you give me an example of like what's a good headline?
A good headline can go in a few different ways. So one would be focusing on your title and then the company that you work for, and then you could say specializing in helping this particular audience with these problems or helping solve these problems. Now you only have 120 characters to play with, so try to keep it under that character count. Or you could just use keywords. So for my profile, I start out with a LinkedIn trainer or LinkedIn profile writing expert or something along those lines, so that immediately the people that go onto my profile know exactly what I do and how I help.
So we've got the picture, we've got the headline. What next?
Summary.
Okay.
The summary is the heavy lifting, I'm afraid. The summary is the one that's the area that's going to take the most time for you to complete.
Okay.
So as I go through the checklist, when I'm writing LinkedIn profiles for my clients, I often will start off with the why. I don't know if you've ever seen Simon Sinek's Start With Why video. He says over and over in his video, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And when I'm interviewing my clients, I'll ask them, so why did you get involved in this industry in the first place? Because there's often a really interesting backstory that goes with why you decided to get into the industry that you've chosen.
Right, okay.
Not always, but sometimes.
Yeah.
And then people really want to work with people who are really passionate about what they do. And if there's a way, again, to write for the reader insofar as what are you driven, passionate, what do you love, why do you love to do what you do, that is a compelling story for the reader. And that's a great way for you to reframe what people are really afraid of is how do I write my accomplishments without coming across like, I'm bragging, I'm full of myself. There's a lot of fear that people have when they're writing their profile. And so talking about how you're driven, passionate, committed, those kinds of words.
Now, when you say talking about, should you talk about it in the first person or the third? Should you say, I did this and this and this, or Leslie is a...
Right. I prefer first person. And the reason for that is when I'm writing it in first person, I feel when I'm reading it, let's say I'm reading your LinkedIn profile and you're writing like, I love to do this, I feel much more connected as the reader than Jessica is.
Yeah.
Because I think it just makes the connection from the reader's standpoint to be more intimate and there's more rapport that way. The one thing that I want to make sure that people remember is to have a call to action. at the very bottom, usually it's at the bottom, of how do you want someone to get in touch with you? Because if we're entrepreneurs, if we're salespeople, how do you want someone to reach out and connect with you? It's not all that intuitive, so make sure you have that on there as well.
And just in general, like, what do you think is some of the myths about LinkedIn? Like, sometimes people think, oh, it's just like a business site, it doesn't do anything, as opposed to, what do you think are some of the positives or things that people should know?
Yeah, oh, I love this question, because at least in the past, people would think of it's just a resume site. When in fact, it doesn't matter where you are in your career journey, LinkedIn is so much more powerful than we had thought it to be in the past. It's a great way for you to build up a network. Now, some people, I'm afraid, don't know what a Rolodex is anymore, which is a little frightening for me, but it is your Rolodex. It is your Rolodex of connections. So the more quality connections that you build, the better off you are for staying in touch with those people over time. And there's a whole aspect of social selling that we can get into or not, but building a quality database of connections is so very important.
Is there, like, I get requests for connection all the time. Is there a correct way, if you're trying to build your network, like, is there a way to reach out to people? Is it worth doing a note? Should you just be, Yeah,
absolutely. Every time we are dealing with, human to human at the end of the day. So I always think it's really important to send a personalized connection request. Okay. And even if it's somebody that I've known for years and years, it's often a nice little sort of, salutation of saying, hey, we haven't talked in a while. It's really great to see you here. Looking forward to staying in touch. If you don't know the person, frame up why. Did we meet at a conference? Do we have someone in common? Why do we want to connect with me? Because I think we're all receiving inbound connection requests and going, well, what am I going to do with this person? Who are they? What do they want from me?
Are you cool with maybe going through my profile? Yeah. And then we've got, hopefully my profile isn't hideous, but we'll find out. All right, so I have a picture.
Right. Where I probably start at the beginning is having it's called the cover photo area.
Okay.
And that blue area in the back can actually be customized with your logo, with a little bit of a tagline. If you're graphically challenged like I am, there's a cool tool called canva.com that actually is sized with some stock photography and some images that you can play with. So canva.com.
Okay, so I'll fix this whole background area. Great.
You have a great photo, which is fantastic. You're smiling, confident. You could change your headline.
Okay.
To really showcase what you do. So instead of being entrepreneur, co-creator, and host for She's on Top, you could say, she's on top helping this target audience produce these results, or specializing in doing this for these people.
Very cool. Yeah. Okay, I'm actually going to change that. So it would be Jessica, right, specializing in profiling female entrepreneurs, right? Something like that.
Right,
okay.
Something along those lines. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to think about that. Sort of similar, in a way, it's not that dissimilar to what we do on YouTube.
Yes,
right? So
absolutely.
that they land on your page and immediately know what you're doing.
Yeah. And so helping or specializing in helping entrepreneurs tell their story, something along video and using video. So thinking about those keywords is important as well. So if people are looking for you using specific keywords, again, what they're typing into Google, not how you would describe yourself. Let's go into, go up to the top a little bit there. So it's not really all that intuitive. This little blue button here can really help you get into the background of making those changes. So if you click on that blue pencil, you'll see you can put your name, your first name and your last name in there, your headline. As you scroll down a little bit further, you can get into the summary. So that is the 2,000 character copy that you can include in there.
Okay.
One of my recommendations is to write it in a Word document. And the reason for that is you can play with that character count and cut and paste.
Smart. Okay.
Right? Then there's no, you want to make sure that it's proofread, that it's legible, that you have enough white space that actually tells a story, that if people are skimming, that they get what you do without a big block of content.
Okay.
You can also add the multimedia, which you've already done. So you can add videos in there to really showcase who you are, what you do. You guys, this is what you specialize in here at She's on Top. Some people will include a video bio. Myself, I like to do public speaking, so I have a video bio of what I do, who I help, that kind of thing as well. Or if you've appeared on TV. So that's a big part of it too. Yeah.
Perfect.
Let's go over to the edit public profile and URL. It's not really that intuitive in there, but what's so cool about that little section, which is in the very right-hand side, you've already changed yours, which is fantastic. LinkedIn will give you a really ugly URL that is, Jessica Wright 1234 XYZ. when you tighten it up into first name, last name, it allows you to then put that on your business cards, on your email signature. It really just tidies that section up.
Okay, great tip. Okay, perfect.
The next section I'd like to focus on is the volunteer section. With perhaps either new Canadians or with my college students, they might not have an extensive summary of the business work that they've done. So there is a really great section of volunteer that you can include in there, which is pretty prominent in the LinkedIn profile that showcases some of the stuff you've done from a volunteer basis.
You know what? It's a really important point because we interviewed Kelly Lavelle, and she based her whole career, she's like a top millennial influencer, and she was ill in high school, so there's a lot of things that she couldn't complete. So what she did do was volunteer, and she built an entire resume and got into Ivy League business school based on volunteering.
Wow.
So that completely backs up her
yeah.
point, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. And something else to really showcase too is recommendations.
Okay.
So I love to see that you have a couple of recommendations in your LinkedIn profile, because oftentimes it's not just you telling your story, but other people who endorse you as well.
You've given us a lot of great information here, but you actually put a book out on this, right? You mentioned it earlier. Can you tell us a bit about your book?
Yeah, it's broken down into, I love the alliteration of create, connect, convert. It doesn't sound as good when you say it. It's a little harder to say. But it is the three foundations of any kind of marketing plan, which is create a strong first impression so that when you get inbound leads or when you're connecting with people, you're telling a valid story. The second is connect, which is building a network of quality connections using the right etiquette. And then the last, as I said, is convert, which is sort of just for the alliteration, but it is really about building thought leadership and connecting with people in a way that resonates with them.
Well, I feel like we could do a whole series on this. I mean, at least we've kind of opened it up, but if we get a lot of questions from our viewers, will you come back?
Oh, absolutely. I would love it. Yay.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So make sure to check out Leslie's book, and also make sure to put comments below because, you know, you'll come and answer the comments, right?
I'd love to, yeah.
Any comments, any questions, Leslie can address them directly. Cheers.